Have you ever wanted to connect your files and data that sit in your Cloudflare R2 bucket to Snowflake? Well, you're going to find out how to do that in just a matter of minutes using datalakehouse.io. Let's get started. So first, log into your datalakehouse.io account. If you don't have an account, you can start with the free trial version to get open access to all the connectors that are available. We'll go ahead and log in, and we'll go to search for a new source connector. We'll type in Cloudflare R2 or Cloudflare. It'll find it for you. Go ahead and click on Add New Source Connector. And from here, we have all the correct settings that will allow us to connect to your Cloudflare R2 bucket and then enable you to pick certain folders and file types that you want to then synchronize over to your Snowflake Cloud Data Warehouse. Filling in the form is pretty easy. Give it a name that's going to be unique across your project. And then after that, you can simply add other details that complete the configuration form, such as a target schema prefix. And this is going to be unique to your Snowflake database schema instance. So this is what the prefix is going to be when we synchronize data over to your Snowflake Cloud database. So we might give that a unique name like R2 marketing data if we know we're going to have what type of data exists in that bucket or the bucket folder we're trying to retrieve. Next, go ahead and put in your Cloudflare storage endpoint. If you've used Cloudflare quite a bit, you know that your endpoint is going to look something like this. It's going to have your account number .r2.cloudflarestorage.com at the end of it. After that, go ahead and put in the name of your bucket. Typically that bucket name is similar to a domain name. It could be a simple name, but go ahead and plug that in. Maybe you have something similar to your company name, so like we're going to use this just for now. And then go ahead and select a region. If you don't know your region here, just go ahead and use the default. So we'll go ahead and select Global Auto, which is actually the default for R2. And then for folder path, let's just jump over to our R2 instance to kind of see what we're looking at. So what we want to do is retrieve data and the data files inside of a folder we have inside of our bucket called marketing campaign data. And this is right off of our root bucket. So what we're going to do is simply figure out what that name is. So we've got _marketing_campaign_data /. And we'll get back over here, and then in the folder path, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and put that in there. We try to get as specific as possible when we're looking inside of our bucket, just because there's so many files. We want to just drill into the ones that are going to be the most meaningful to us. We can add a file pattern. We can look for different file types. I'll go ahead and just pick any type of Excel or a CSV file. And then lastly, before we test the connection, we'll go ahead and enter in our access key and our secret key. Now that we've added our keys, it's time to go ahead and test. So we'll save and test by clicking in the bottom right hand corner, save and test. And once our test is complete, we'll navigate back to the sources menu by clicking on connection sources, and we can see that our connector for Cloudflare R2 is safe and sound right there, and we can inspect that. But let's move on to the next step, which is to create a Snowflake target connector. And we've done this in many videos in the past, and if you have any questions on that, you can definitely check out one of those videos. But let's go ahead and quickly do that just to walk through the steps as if this was your first time. So go over to Connections, go ahead and click on Targets, and from here you'll go ahead and click on the type of cloud data warehouse or destination that you want. We'll pick on Snowflake, and we'll begin to go ahead and fill in the information for the Snowflake connector. Okay, once we've completed filling out our Snowflake target connector form, as we see, we're ready to move on to the next step. Let's walk through this real quickly. So we want to give it a unique name or alias for that connector so that we know it's very unique within the project that we're working in. Give it the full account URL for your Snowflake account, and then fill in the information for your database, warehouse, user, role, and of course, username and password. There is the option to use a private public key pair, but for this demo, we're just going to use plain username and password. Once that is complete, go ahead and get to the next step, which is to click Save and Test. Once you have a successful connection, you can then go to the sync bridge, and we'll step through that in a moment, but let's just take a look and make sure we can close the test and validation panel here. And let's just make sure that we have our source. Our source is here in the target connectors list. Now that we have that safely secured and we also have our R2 source, the next step to basically combine these two, or rather combine them, connect them through a sync bridge so that the information or the data files can be synchronized over to your Snowflake database account database, is that we now need to create what we call a sync bridge. So a sync bridge is the actual conduit that does that magic. So let's go ahead and click on new sync bridge. And here we'll give the sync bridge a name. Let's just say R2 to Snowflake. And now we can go ahead and pick our connectors. So we'll pick our Cloudflare R2 connector, and we'll also go ahead and pick our Snowflake target connector. We can go ahead and pick a time zone, then also give it a frequency on which we want the data to be synchronized or replicated over to our Snowflake account. We can even apply a start time if we want to offset that a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and click on Save Sync Bridge. At this point, our R2 data is ready to be synchronized or replicated into our Snowflake account. We can do that by waiting for the scheduled frequency on the sync bridge to kick off, or we can go ahead to the manual actions and click on Run Sync Bridge Now. By running Sync Bridge Now, we get prompted to confirm that this is what we actually want to do. And then once we click OK, we'll see that our sync bridge will start running and our data will start replicating over into our Snowflake account. Thank you for taking the time to watch this walkthrough. We're super excited about the Cloudflare R2 connector to Snowflake. Try it out for yourself and many other operational applications, connectors, and APIs inside of datalakehouse.io. Please reach out with any questions, and we will see you in the Data Lakehouse community.